It is 9, so we're going to go ahead and get started just to respect all of your guys' time. I'm sure people can continue to filter in, so we'll just keep going. I am going to be hosting this meeting today. My name is Emily Hill. I am a parent consultant serving families within Davis School District, and I'm employed at Utah Parent Center. So help families if they've got children that have special needs with 504s, IEPs. And I have been a member of the Davis Links Planning Committee for a little over a year now, and I've really enjoyed it. This is a great committee, and I'm so excited to see so many people on this call. It looks like we've got a really good turnout, so I'm really excited about that. So our topic today is refugee and immigrant assistance. There's been a lot of planning that's gone onto this, and so this is going to be a really great opportunity for all of you. I'm excited to be part of this. And I do want to let you all know that this meeting is going to be recorded and it will be put on the Davis Links resource page. I believe Travis just put the link in the chat, so you can refer to that. It is our YouTube page that has our past virtual forums, and if you continue to monitor it, it will have our future virtual forums as well. I am going to toss this over to Travis so that he can give a little bit more of an introduction into our topic today. So Travis, please.
All right, thank you so much, Emily. So yeah, I was just going to share a little bit more about refugee and immigrant populations, an overview in Davis County, as well as later on, Emily will introduce our resource presenters, and then we'll have questions, evaluation, announcements at the end. So let me see here. All right. Oh yeah, and I'm a community outreach planner with Davis County Health Department. So I've had the pleasure to meet some of you in person over the years, so appreciate you attending. So just moving on to immigrant and refugee. So why are people, what are the reasons why people are moving to the US? Well, there's a number, and this isn't an all-inclusive list, but social and economic opportunities, certain freedoms like religious and political freedoms, rejoining family that may already be here, and people who are seeking refuge and asylum. So in terms of immigration in Davis County, immigrants are an important part of the Utah and Davis County culture and economy. Just want to acknowledge that. An estimated 5.3% of immigrants in Davis County are foreign-born. By the way, these statistics are all cited in the notes, so you can refer to them later. All these presentations will be available after the fact on our drive, which you will receive more information in the follow-up email. Anyway, so of those immigrants in Davis County that are foreign-born, over half are naturalized citizens. 44% are either permanent or temporary residents, and most of the foreign-born population are from Latin America, followed by Asia, Europe, Oceania, Northern America, and Africa. So what is a refugee and what is an asylum seeker? So a refugee is someone who is unable or unwilling to return their country for fear of persecution for things like race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or a political opinion. Refugees prove that they meet this definition prior to arrival to the US, whereas an asylum seeker who may be seeking the same thing requests an opportunity to prove they meet the definition of a refugee once they are here. So that's the difference between the two. And so moving on to refugees, where county data isn't available, we're using state statistics, but Utah's home to approximately 65,000 refugees, former refugees, and their children. Most live in the Salt Lake Valley. So this was a 2022 stat by the Department of Workforce Services. Utah is recognized as being one of the most welcoming states to refugees and having one of the best resettlement services systems in the U.S. In 2022, Utah resettled a little over 1,600 refugees, more than the 4 previous years combined. So there's definitely a need here in Utah. And most new arrivals were Afghans, with many Congolese, Syrians, Sudanese, and Ukrainians as well. Local level data, like I mentioned, is not available for how many of those refugees live in Davis County, although Catholic Community Services can give an idea, a little bit more idea about that. So in terms of languages that are spoken in Davis County, believe it or not, it's not just English and Spanish, but the 10 most common languages that we have here are English, Spanish, Chinese, Portuguese, Ilocano, Samoan, Hawaiian, or other Austronesian languages, French, German, Tagalog, Vietnamese, and then finally Thai, Lao, or other Thai-Kadai languages. Okay, so what is spoken at home? 9.5% of people over the age of 5 speak a language other than English in their home, Davis County. And of those, 26.9% speak English less than very well. While the majority of Spanish speakers also speak English very well, a little over 28% speak English less than very well. Those that are less proficient at speaking English, more likely to speak Thai, Lao, or other Thai-Kadai languages, Vietnamese, Korean, and Japanese in the home. And I want to mention that other than those top 10 languages that I mentioned, there are over 20 other dialects that are spoken in the home. So in summer of 2022, we at the health department conducted 9 community focus groups. And these community focus groups identified many unique challenges that are experienced by immigrants and refugees living in the county. Many of the focus group participants were either immigrants or refugees. So these challenges come when accessing basic needs, including food, housing, transportation, and healthcare. And they mentioned finding opportunities for connection and community involvement can also be difficult because they often face discrimination in many settings. So language can be a barrier. It can impact access to preventive care, understanding health information, and receiving quality health and mental health care. This is a quote from one of the participants. There's not that much advertisement for the Hispanic community. Many of our parents only got to 5th, 6th grade in our country. So they think college or university or anything beyond that is inaccessible to them. And if we don't have those flyers or those advertisements in their cultural language, it becomes hard. There's also things related to access and knowledge. Of course, languages can be an access barrier, but these are other access or knowledge barriers. So focus groups suggested that the Spanish-speaking community here has experience with not knowing what resources are available to them. So that might be things like saving money at the grocery store, signing up and paying for public services like utilities, and experiences with unfair treatment and discrimination in multiple settings, like I mentioned. So a number of quotes I'll read out loud. First one, many Hispanics don't know how to take advantage of the opportunities that, for example, stores offer us. We don't know what a mix and match is. We don't know what a coupon is. So we have no idea about that, and we buy the products at the price they are. It's really hard, another quote, it's really hard because before my husband got his residency, we couldn't apply for anything. And then even when he got his residency, it was hard enough to even want to apply because our immigration status is hard. So if we get benefits that we need right now, it ruins our immigration status, and so we can't apply for anything. So I just want to acknowledge that this person may have had some misunderstanding as well about applying for benefits, as well as like affecting their immigration status. And then a last quote I'll read is, transportation is very difficult for me because I don't drive. So just thinking about across the county, what is being done for coordination for languages, there has been little coordination at the county level to address those barriers. However, many Davis County employers list Spanish speaking as a desired skill, and organizations are making efforts to have documents available in Spanish. We at the health department, especially after COVID, we made sure to ramp up our efforts and help things be available in Spanish. But we also have our presenters today that can talk a little bit about what is being done in Davis County in the state. So I want to transition over to what is called the Davis Links Resource Directory. Many of you have heard of this. It's our one-stop shop for resources in Davis County, and it's an online resource. And we've contracted with Find Help, which is a national social care platform. And there's some great features for languages. So the platform is available in 130 plus languages. Refugees and immigrant programs are in the directory already, and we're going to continue to add more, as well as work with presenter surprise after the fact to get everything accurate, have you claim that as your organization and edit it the way you'd like. And we are also planning on having a favorite shared link, which will be added to our main public-facing site, davislinks.org, in the future. So it'll just be a listing of programs that are easily accessible. Also, there is the ability in the resource directory to have personal filters for programs by citizenship status and limited English, and I have screenshots to show that, and then a program filter for communicating in other languages. So this screenshot is just for those who may not be able to view it, is showing the provider site, so davislinkproviders.findhelp.com. And this is the landing page. I put a little arrow that's pointing to where you can change the language into whatever language you prefer. But what about the public? So I will show this next screenshot, which is what comes up. I searched for refugee in the zip code 84025 of Farmington, just because it's centrally located, but you can pick any zip code. But a little arrow is pointing to where you can change the language to whatever you would like. And currently the screen is showing Spanish. And this is an actual program card. So a program card is just like a little rectangular box of a program listing. And you have the opportunity to share. Anybody, in fact, can share this. You don't have to have an account, but an arrow is pointing to the share button. This is the same program card, which is the Refugee Resettlement Services by Department of Workforce Services, who we're going to be hearing from today. The one on the left shows you that you can share via email, and an arrow shows where you can change the email language so the recipient gets it in the language that they prefer. And then on the right-hand side is showing that you can send a text message as well and change the language as well. So a lot of great features. And then depending on what you search, there's different filters that come up. I searched for legal, for instance, again, 84025 zip code, and I have an arrow showing that you can check different boxes by citizenship status, but it's also, you can look at age, emotional state. I mean, it has a lot of different filters, and then also have an arrow showing the language, the limited English filter for as well if they serve those populations. And so this next slide is just showing the program filter. So there's personal filters and then program filters. And then depending on what you search, in this instance, I searched food pantry, but you are able to select whether the program communicates in a certain language. This is our support team for Davis Links and the Davis Links Resource Directory. The email is davislinks daviscountyutah.gov. I am part of that support team, so is Isa Perry, Kaylee Walklin, Marcy Clark, and Cody Mayer, who does our analytics. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Emily to introduce our community resource presenters.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Travis. I really appreciate when I can get like a good base knowledge before we move into these, because that helps me get a better understanding of what we're about to learn. I also think it can really help us understand this community so we're better equipped to support them moving forward. So thank you. Our first presenter today it's actually going to be two. It's Lindsay Zimmerman and Angie Hawks. They are both refugee family advocates with Davis School District. So we're very excited to hear from them. Obviously, Davis School District is, I believe now it's the biggest school district in the state. And so I think this is going to be a really important resource for all of us to have. So thank you so much, Lindsay and Angie. And I will go ahead and turn that time over to you.
Thanks, Emily. We're so excited to be here. I'm Lindsay, and this is my coworker, Angie. So I'm excited to just kind of tell you more about our program here in Davis School District. As Travis kind of touched on, back in like 2021, 2022, there was just a lot more refugees coming into the state. And that's when our district started seeing a bigger influx of refugees. And a lot of them were from like Afghanistan, Ukraine, Syria, and Congo. So we kind of saw those same trends. And that's also when our district was approached with the Refugee School Impact Grant. So it's a federal grant that is there to service refugee students and their families. And so we were awarded that grant in the spring of 2023. And so this is our third full school year of this program. So on this next slide, you can kind of see this is just with our the current families we work with, this is where they're coming from. So all over the world, really. So we work with all different cultures and from Afghanistan and Palestine to Congo, Burundi, Guatemala, El Salvador, just all over the world. And it's really an enriching experience just to meet them and to learn more about their cultures and their experiences. And the languages that we deal with are definitely different than kind of like the statistics that Travis shared, because we just specifically work with refugees. So we wish we got to work with all immigrants, but because it's a federal grant, it's just very strict on who we get to work with. So these are the languages that we see in our district, and we've had some really kind of rare ones where it's really hard to find interpreters, but luckily the district has we have a lot of interpreters that work for the district that speak these languages, and then we also have a on-demand phone interpreting system we use called Language Line that helps fill the gaps of any interpreters that we need. And then obviously our families are all trying to learn English as well. So we can go to the next slide. So right now our team consists of 4 refugee family advocates, and then we have 2 refugee success coaches. This kind of varies year to year based on our funding. So this year we did receive a drop with our funding. So we have a little bit smaller team this year. But as a family refugee advocate, we split the families up in our district. So we each have a caseload of families. So I don't just work with one student at one school. I work with that whole entire family. So that might encompass 3 schools for one particular family. So we each have a caseload of families that we work with, and we get to know them really well. We have a smaller population of refugees than some other districts like in Salt Lake. So they get a little bit more one-on-one attention from us. We feel very grateful to be able to do that. So every year we we meet with our families in person and we kind of just see how they're doing. We make sure they're set up for success for the year, and we just continually check in on them throughout the school year. And we also work, a lot with we collaborate with lots of other refugee providers. We work with the admin at the schools. And then we also work with like community resources and providers. And then our team has different programs and workshops that we provide for our families. And then the refugee success coaches, they work directly in the schools. So they work with the students that are struggling the most. They're there to just support with them with homework, with taking tests. Sometimes it's with behavioral issues or social skills, but they get to go work one-on-one with the student inside the classroom, and they really collaborate a lot with the teachers and the admin of what the students need the most support with. So that's our team in a nutshell. You can go to the next slide. So because we only work specifically with refugee, they have to have like a legal refugee status. There is a bit of an eligibility process that they have to go through before we can work with them. So initially, there's a couple ways we receive referrals. We work really closely with resettlement agencies, Catholic Community Services, International Rescue Committee. They're our main sources of referrals as far as when families initially arrive. And then we also have families that transfer from other districts. So maybe when they first came to Utah, they arrived in Granite School District, but maybe they moved to Davis County. A lot of times those referrals we get either from student services or, a teacher or a counselor or admin might reach out and I think this family might be a refugee. So anytime there's anyone thinks that this family might be a refugee, we are more than willing to research and see if they're eligible for our program. If they are, we'll add them to our caseload. And if not, we will refer them to different family advocates who can help them. So they're not going to be left stranded even if they don't have the right status. We'll make sure that they get connected to the right resources. So we do have to check like their official kind of immigration documents for their status. And we are allowed to work with them for 5 years from their arrival date in Utah. So in those 5 years that we get to work with them, we're really trying to focus on helping them be more independent and really being comfortable working with the schools on their own. And so once we determine that they're eligible, we reach out to the family, we use an interpreter, and we have that initial visit. And usually, they're nervous at first to meet us, but then we've been able to make some really good relationships with our families. And then they start just telling us everything and asking us for help with all the things, and we're happy to be there. So then we do have some just initial paperwork we fill out. And then once that's all said and done, again, they're on our caseload, and we just help them throughout the whole year. So our grant, it's basically to help refugee students have academic success in school. That's the purpose of our grant. But obviously, a lot of different factors contribute to whether a student's successful. It's not just academic reasons, right? There's their home situation, family situation, all that, whether they have food or a place to sleep, all that determines how well they can succeed at school. So while there's barriers that we're addressing at school that are more like academic in nature, we're also addressing a lot of like barriers that they're experiencing at home. So as family advocates, we're working a lot with the parents and, making sure that they're feeling supported. And so this is not like a full list. This is just some ones we just thought of real quick, but a lot of different barriers we're addressing every day. Our job looks different every single day. And so these are just some of the ones that we're addressing. And then I'm going to go ahead and pass you over to my coworker, Angie, and she's going to present the rest of the presentation.
Thanks, Lindsay. Yeah, like Lindsay explained, we do have refugee-specific resources that we utilize, and this list also is not all-encompassing. We just made a list, and this is what fit on the slide. So there are other things that we offer. Program-specific resources include bus passes, school supplies, headphones or calculators, grade and graduation incentives, which our success coaches will meet with our students at the beginning of a term, and they will set goals. And then when the students reach those goals, we're able to provide those incentives. And they get really excited when they get an Amazon gift card or something just super fun. We've provided cultural specific food items, cultural specific clothing, ESL materials, educational games. We've helped with instrument rentals. We've had refugee students that would like to be in the orchestra, and we've been able to help remove those barriers so that those students are able to participate, and it's a really great experience for them. We help with school-related fees, physical needs, clothing, shoes, coats, household supplies, hygiene items, baby items, anything that they might need, we help them with. Our programs that we offer are a refugee summer school, which we've been able to provide the last 2 summers. And if the students attend, they are able to receive an amount of credit towards their graduation if they're 9th grade and older, which they have a really fun time. We collaborate with the Catalyst Center up in Kaysville, and the kids get to experience some really cool things like 3D printing. We built airplanes this last summer and got to fly them off the roof of the building. And I think even just climbing to the roof of the building was a new experience for most of the students, but it was really fun. We offer back to school parent trainings, parent workshops. We have open office hours. If parents have any questions on anything, they're welcome to come talk to us, and we will find them a resource. We have offered English classes. We hope to offer some more coming this spring. And we've had some businesses and private donations. Crossy Ranch for the last 2 years has been able to provide tickets so that our families can go experience a fun fall activity together. We've received bicycles from Bicycle Collective, and we do also receive private donations. Okay, the refugee provider resources that we collaborate with, some of them are the refugee provider meeting that is held in Salt Lake City. We attend that as long as school's in session and we're able to go. We go, and it's a really great place to receive updates on policies, updates on programs and events that are happening all over the state, really, mostly in Salt Lake and Davis County. So we get to network a lot with really great people that have passion like we do, wanting to help these families succeed. We have worked with the Refugee Connection Center, and they're really great to supply a lot of our incentives that we get to give to our students. There's a whole list there you can see, but they're so welcoming, and they are always like, yes, please come. We want to help families in Davis County too, and they're amazing. The Utah Refugee Center offers workshops. They offer help with government benefits and casework services. So if we run into a barrier where it's something on the school district level that we're not quite sure if that's something we can help with, we always refer them to Utah Refugee Center for that kind of help. There is a program called One Refugee, and then another team member of ours, Henry, he's on this call. He has connections with One Refugee, and we are trying to work with them in order to get our seniors that qualify applied for that scholarship, because it's a really cool opportunity. We do work with resettlement agencies, like Lindsay mentioned, IRC and CCS, which hopefully we will get to hear from today because they're amazing people as well. Asian Association of Utah, we've made many referrals to them, and Women of the World is another wonderful organization that provides so many resources for our families.
So Becky just mentioned, can you post in the chat the Refugee Provider Resource Manual link into the QR code? And I'll just answer by saying that in our Davis links, folder for this month forum will be that PDF electronic copy you have access to, and will also be sent out in the follow-up email.
Great, thank you. Okay, not a new organization, but one that we have started to work with more heavily this year is Know Your Neighbor. We work with Phoenix there, and the state provides basically a mentor that we connect with refugee persons or families that qualify. We've been trying to get the word out in Davis County. So far, we've had 3 successful connections, and these people just are in the community and they want to help refugee families. And so it kind of fills a barrier that us as district employees can only do so much, but these community members are able to do some of the items that we aren't. And so we like to promote when people are always asking us, how can we help? What can we do? We just say, oh, please volunteer for Know Your Neighbor, and tell them you live in Davis County and you want to help our families up here. Because I feel like it's a really great program that's working well in Salt Lake, but we really want to bring it to Davis County and provide that opportunity for our families as well. Okay, you guys, we have a community refugee awareness night coming up. We want to invite all of you to come and enjoy the evening with us. It's going to be Tuesday, November 18th at Farmington High School. And we've been able to provide these awareness nights for our community for the last few years. And every time we hold one of these, more people come. So I think the community is catching on to how fantastic our families are. And this year we have 3 keynote speakers. One is from Palestine. Oh, Pakistan.
No, Palestine.
Palestine. From Palestine. One is from Afghanistan, and one is from Burundi. 2 of our speakers will be students that attend Davis County schools, and one is a parent that has children in our district. She also, lucky for us, works for IRC, so she can give us a little bit more insight, being a refugee herself, and then being able to work in the community as well. So please invite everyone. Everyone is welcome. We can't wait to see you there. It should be a really great time. And then this is our last slide. If you have any questions and want our contact information, this QR code will take you to the federal programs page for the district with the refugee information that's specific. So our names, our contact information, and we are happy to collaborate with everyone because we want to provide the best for our families. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Lindsay and Angie. I think I learned a lot from that. One of the coolest things that I saw from that is that you're wanting to help families. I think it's easy, not easy, that's the wrong word. It could be a general thought that you're just helping the student, but I love that you're getting the whole family involved. I'm also so excited about that community refugee awareness night. I'm going to share that with all of the committees and groups that I am a part of, and I hope that all of you will too, and I'm excited for that opportunity. So thank you guys so much. Becca just asked, do you have to register for the refugee awareness night for the 18th?
No, you don't have to. You can RSVP, but we don't, it's not required.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. And Travis, I'm not sure, but can we just make sure that that flyer is accessible through Davis Links as well? So thank you guys so much. I think that that was really great, and I really appreciate all that you guys do for our community. Next up, we're going to hear from, and I apologize if I don't pronounce your last name correctly, Aiden Batar. Aiden is the Director of Migration and Refugee Services for the Catholic Community Services of Utah. We're so excited to have him here with us and to hear what he has to say. So Aiden, please, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thanks for everyone. And as was mentioned, I'm the Director of the Migration and Refugee Services. So I'm responsible for 3 programs at Catholic Community Services that I will go into detail. But the topic that I'm talking about is the services that we provide, and also how people can contact us if they need any help. I know that in Ogden we have an office, And we also have a staff member who provides immigration services there, but people can always come to Salt Lake City if they need more services. So, without any further ado, let's dive into the presentation. So, Catholic Community Services was, founded back in 1945 after the, World War II. And since then, we have been providing services for people that are in need in our community, whether they are refugees, immigrants, or low-income families, or anyone is in need who comes through our doors. We have been serving them. Our mission is to practice compassion and uphold the dignity of each person. So that's what we do on a regular basis. So if I start with the Refugee Resettlement Program, it's one of our largest program at Catholic Community Services, where every year we bring hundreds of refugees that are coming from war-torn countries. And we closely work with our national office, U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, and our federal partners, like the Department of State and U.S. Office of Refugee Resettlement, and many other federal partners in the in the U.S. We also work international NGOs like the UN and many other organizations that work with refugees overseas. The refugees, when they arrive, there's a variety of services that we provide, starting from when they arrive at the airport, and we provide them fully set up housing that has furnishings and every essentials that they need to start a new life. And then after that, once they come to Utah, we provide a variety of services, including cultural orientation. So during that cultural orientation, we explain to the refugees, all the services that they will be receiving, and also the living of the new country where they will be living. And then we provide a lot of support services that includes employment, and then connecting them with the other resources in the community, like English as second language, schools, and many other services. Refugees come from many different parts of the world. Some of the main ones that recently we've been getting, are refugees from Afghanistan, Congo, Syria, and also we've been getting Ukrainian as well. Ukrainian, they haven't been coming as a refugee; they've been coming as a parole status. But when they come here, they were eligible for the refugee services until recently that those services they're not longer eligible anymore. So just to give you a background, at a given time, there are over 100 million people that forcibly displaced by worldwide by wars and many other inhumane conditions that is going on in the world today. Of those, more than 38 million are considered to be refugees that are in the refugee camps. And those are the people that are concerned that we advocate for them. Instead of living them in the refugee camp, we would either, we look for them durable solution, whether they will be repatriated back to their home country, if it's safe for them to go back. If not, can they get integrated into the host country where those refugee camps are? And we know that many of those countries that are hosting the refugees cannot integrate the refugees into their home countries. So that's why resettlement is more important for the refugees. And less than 1% of the refugee population get resettlement at a given year. But unfortunately, this year, the United States is not resettling any refugee at all. As of January 20th, the refugee resettlement program was completely shut down, and we don't know when that is going to be restarted. With this administration, I really don't know if that's going to be possible. We know that they have been talking about a small number of refugees that are coming from South Africa that will be resettled, which we believe that majority of them don't even qualify for refugees. So, but that's what we are, and that's what we're going to be dealing with this administration when it comes to the refugee resettlement. But we will, continue to advocate for refugees to be resettled. As you can see, the pictures that I mentioned, I showed there, these are the conditions of the refugee camp where people are living. And majority of the refugees would say, more than 80% are women and children. And, and you can see that the condition where they're living, they don't have places, if they're lucky if they have a tent, they usually don't have the basics. There's no running water or enough food for these families to receive. So I could go on and on, but this is just to give you a snapshot of what the refugees' living condition in the refugee camps are. So the history of the refugee resettlement, refugee admissions, we have been resettling refugees over 75 years. Since the refugee, the U.S. have been accepting refugees from all over the world. Starting with World War II, over 650,000 refugees, mainly coming from European countries, were resettled in the U.S. And then the program continued, throughout, the Cold War. Many refugees that are fleeing the communist regimes were resettled, and then. During those times, the United States did not have, an act of, refugee resettlement program until 1980, when Congress, passed the Refugee Act. And then ever since the Congress, has a bipartisan support in refugee resettlement, and every president that came to the United States, passed the sign what we call it presidential determination every year, how many refugees that will be coming into the U.S. Since 1980, the United States accepted more than 3 million refugees. And that shows, that the commitment the United States have, to resettle refugees that are fleeing wars. And just to give you, some of the stats, I just mentioned, since 1980, every U.S. President that came into the U.S. admitted an average of about 75,000 refugees. Over 3 million were admitted. But if we look at President Trump's first term and second term, his first term, he admitted less than 75,000 refugees all the 4 years that he was in the office combined. And that shows, that how little he cares about the refugees. And then the second term right now, we know that he suspended the refugee resettlement program the first day he's in office. And we don't know what's going to happen the next, 3 years, whether the refugees will be allowed to come in or not. This year, he was supposed to sign the refugee presidential determination back in September. But we are in the end of October. We haven't seen any presidential determination whether the U.S. will accept refugees this year. As I mentioned earlier, the administration is looking into settling, refugees from, South Africa, and which many of those folks don't even qualify for the refugee. But it's a preferential treatment the administration is giving to this group, while more than 38 million refugees are stranded in the refugee camps, and that, the administration is not even cares about those that are in those refugee camps for many years. And also, we have seen what is happening in Ukraine, and many, those are not getting the benefits of refugee resettlement. I know little are coming right now, but we have been advocating the Ukrainian be admitted also as a refugee, but we don't know whether with this administration is going to happen or not. And also, this is a graph showing, since 1980 to 2025, how, many refugees the United States has resettled. As you can see the graph, every year things change depending on, the political climate in the U.S. and also what is going on in the world. But still, we were bringing refugees, every year until up 2025, that we have 0 refugees arrive this year. When refugees arrive in Utah, these are some of the services that we provide. I mentioned earlier housing, which is the key, important for the refugees when they arrive. We rent an apartment or a house depending on the family size, and we fully furnish that apartment, and we pay the first month rent and deposit. And then, the families, we expect that they They will get a job, and then they will take care of their rent. Until then, Catholic Community Services have resources from the federal government or state or donations to help these families pay their bills until they become self-sufficient. Typically, we'd say up to 8 months. The refugees, will get that support, and then after 8 months, many refugees become self-sufficient. And then, we provide, of course, so they will receive state benefits, food stamp, Medicaid, and financial assistance, and that will continue. And we provide 2 years case management from day one up to 2 years. And during those 2 years, our goal is to help the families successfully integrate into a community by removing any barriers that come on their way, whether it's a language, cultural, or any other hurdles that they experience during that time. Employment, of course, is the key, and I would say more than 80% of our refugees become employed within 6 months being in the country. And that is really a high success that we have seen, and refugees will accept any job that is provided to them, regardless whether they speak the language or not. And we provide health and mental health services from day one of arrival. We do provide health screening and also immunization for all the children, and mental health screening. And we continue that we have a health team that provides those services. We have a youth services program where we work all the school district in the state, wherever the refugee children are enrolled in the public schools. So we work with those schools and make sure the kids succeed in school. And we have a mentoring program that we match the refugee school-age children, mentors that are volunteering their time to help the youth. And also adult education. We make sure that refugees are enrolled into public schools, and also we help them navigate with any other education that they need to succeed during their time. And then immigration services, I'll go into detail later, and also the volunteers and mentors, play a major role into, the refugees' life as we help them, successfully integrate into our community. These are some of the refugees that are in Utah. We have more than 75,000 refugees that call Utah their home, and they are from many parts of the world, but these are some of the major ones that we have been resettling the past several years, from Afghanistan to all the way to Venezuelans and many other countries that that we have resettled in the past. So why resettlement is important? I mentioned that we have millions of refugees in the refugee camp. If we don't bring those refugees, I think these refugees' lives are going to be really in danger. So resettlement basically saves those refugees' lives by bringing them here so they can rebuild their lives. And the program, prioritizes by resettling the most vulnerable, women, children, the elderly, and those that are experiencing health issues and disability, the most refugees that have the first priority before we resettle anybody else. And refugees, when they come here, they take a lot of, they work in a lot of industries, and a lot of businesses really depend on the refugees' workforce. Refugees become self-sufficient within 6 months. They pay taxes, and most importantly, this is the right thing for us to do. And if this program would not have been successful, we haven't been doing all these years. And as this administration says, refugees are here to harm this country, to take benefits, and so forth. That is not true. I think the data shows that the refugees, pay more than what they receive from the federal government or the states. We also have immigration program where our program is accredited by the Department of Justice to provide affordable immigration services to those that cannot afford private immigration attorneys. We employ several immigration attorneys and also staff that are accredited by the Department of Justice to practice immigration law. So we provide, these are some of the services, but we do provide more than this. So family reunification, we want to make sure that people that come here with a visa or a student visa or across the border and have a U.S. citizen, a relative or a permanent resident relative that they wanted to reunite, we help them to go through this complex process of the immigration program. And when they come to us, our office, everything these individuals tell us or give information to us, it will be very confidential. That information will not be shared with the federal authorities because we do have client attorney privileges that even if the ICE comes to our office, they will not get that information from us unless they have a court order subpoena. So we help also people get their citizenship and make sure that after 5 years or 3 years, depending on their situation, we help them get their citizenship. And there's a lot of DACA recipients in our community that we also work with them to renew their status. And we help people get their green card, and also those newly arrived that are coming, asylum seekers. We help them also get their asylum, and we screen them. And if they qualify for the asylum, we connect them. Either our attorneys will take their cases, or we connect them pro bono attorneys into our community. We currently have over 500 cases that are a waiting list that are waiting to be represented by an immigration attorney. And also, we've been helping people to apply their temporary protected status if they qualify. And many other immigration services that we provide. But if you are not sure, if you have any, of the people that you work with, they want to get their immigration, services or anything, send it to us, and we will provide them a consultation, and we see what their situations are, and then either we tell them what we can do for them, or if they don't have any way of them getting their legal status, we tell them right up front. And our staff also are bilingual, and also they speak many languages of either in the refugee community or also in the immigrants.
Aiden, there's a comment in the chat. Someone is asking if Catholic Community Services have any English classes that you offer.
No, we do not offer English classes. We work with, ESL providers in our community. For example, in Salt Lake City, we have Horizonte or ESLC or English Skill Center and many other ESL providers. But we do not provide English, language at our offices. And so those are the immigration services. And let's go to the next slide. So we also have a refugee foster care program where we help unaccompanied minors, who are coming to the U.S. When they are under the age of 18. These are children that have been neglected, or they lost their parents, or their parents are deceased and they are in the refugee camp, or children that are crossing our southern border, and when the immigration officials apprehend those children and they don't have anyone to release to, they go into federal custody. The federal agencies, they just put these children into shelters, but they don't have any long-term solution. So that's why our program would come in, and we work with the Office of Refugee Resettlement to release those children into our custody, and we place these children into foster homes, families that we train, recruited, and licensed, and then we place just children. So we pay those families, and also we supervise while they are caring for these minors. Instead of these children going into state custody, they come into our care, and we provide them all the services like the education, mentoring, and cultural connection, and many other services that this minors are in need. Our goal is an independence and also successful transition to adulthood. If we can find their families, we will reunite with them. But most of the time, we don't get their family members, but they stay in the program until they are age 21. And once they reach age 21, they already going to college, have a job, and they have money saved, and also their legal status are already being granted. because a lot of the children that are crossing the border, they don't have any status. So we have several attorneys that represent these children, get their whatever immigration relief that we could get for them, either asylum or a special immigrant to juvenile visas or any other way that we could legalize them. And we will, we provide all these services for free because the federal government is funding this program, and we currently have about 70 children that we are, in this program. And so, all our programs are really, depend on, the volunteers. Volunteers are vital to our mission, and there's a lot of opportunities that volunteer opportunities that we have, including when I say teaching English, it doesn't mean that we have schools, but the volunteers that we match with families, they teach one-on-one English at their homes, and because that's the best way families can learn English very quickly while they also go into the ESL programs. They also mentor families, teach them about life skills and many other things that these families in need. And volunteers, a lot of them are also, when we match with them a family, they help them whatever household items these families need by donating or collecting from the community. And also they organize donation drives that those families are in need. So together, volunteers and our staff, we always make Utah a welcoming home for all that we are supporting. The impact of all our programs, as we resettle, 1,000 or more refugees resettle annually. These are the refugees that we bring from overseas or people that walk into our office that we're helping them. We reunite hundreds of families every year through our immigration services with their family members, and we support, over a dozen of youth every year that are coming into our program. And then thousands of volunteer hours contributed every year to support our families. And the next slide. So these are some of the opportunities that I always throw out to people if they want to help, whatever way that people can help. They can visit our website and we list our needs and, whatever that we need. You can also, that's also my contact information that people can contact me, and I'll be happy to answer any, questions people have, whether they want to help or they want to connect someone with our programs and so forth. So this concludes my, presentation, and if anyone has any question that I can answer.
And you can put your questions in the chat too. Oh, Becca just put something in the chat about free English classes. That's a really good resource if you want to take a look in the chat.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. We work with a lot with the Church of Jesus Christ and so forth. Well, if you cannot think of any question right now, that's my email and phone number. Please reach out to me anytime, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. So there's a question from Melissa. Do you work with international medical graduates to have resettle here in the state? So are you referring to students, or I can, international medical graduates resettle here in the state? Yeah, I mean, many of our refugees, some of them have, been doctors and so forth, and we know that they cannot practice here, but we help them to get the certification they need. One refugee helps them a lot. We connect them with that, and so forth. And I know that in the past, the Iraqis and Syrians, we have seen many of them with that category. The resource child care with a parent attending ESL. Yeah, parents who are attending, ESL, the DWS, they provide child care if they qualify TANF or, a program. they provide them those services. I'm sure that Oksana will be talking about the services DWS offers. So yeah, I think that's some of the questions that are in the chat box.
That's all I saw, Aiden. So I just want to clarify, if any of us have questions, are you that best point of contact through your phone number, through your email?
So on our website, we list our program contact information. So like, for example, if people need immigration services, if they go to our website and the immigration department, it lists of all of our immigration staff members that, they can contact. In Ogden, there's a staff member that her information is there as well on our website, that I'll prefer people contact that. But you're more than welcome to contact me as well, and I'll be happy to connect you to our staff.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. It's really cool to see that collaboration with you in each area as much as possible. I think that's really awesome to see and important, because obviously every community is so different. And so thank you. We really appreciate all the work that you do. And I'm so grateful I got to learn more about what you do to support families and individuals who are refugees, immigrants, asylum seekers here. We are now going to hear from Oksana Omel. She is a refugee integration specialist at Department of Workforce Services, Utah Refugee Center. So please, Oksana, please, we are so excited to hear from you.
To undo the mic. Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for having me here. So I am a member of integration team at the Refugee Services Office, and RSO is a part of a state of Utah Department of Workforce Services, DWS. The Refugee Services Office supports refugee integration, well-being, and self-sufficiency through a coordinated network of programs focused on employment, case management, crisis intervention, and community integration. We have a few teams at the Refugee Services Office, and I will go over what every team does, what they're doing here. So we have employment team that empowers refugees to achieve meaningful employment and economic independence. They provide individualized career support. We have job developers. They assess skills and goals and offering tailored coaching and job search strategies. We provide resume and interview preparation. We assist customers with creating resumes, cover letters, doing mock interviews, and that builds job readiness for our refugees. We build strong partnership with employers and agencies, which creates diverse job opportunities. We have a upward mobility specialist, career advancement. She supports customers for trainings, certifications, education to access stable higher wage careers. She also helps with relicensing. She works directly with Department of Public Licensing, State of Utah, and help people with valuable skills from other countries to get their license here in the United States. We have family employment program, provides financial aid and case management for families facing employment barriers. And that's usually families who are on the financial support. Here at the RSO, we have employment counselors who help them coordinate that support and achieve their employment goal and keep being on the financial assistance while they're searching for a better job and achieving their financial goal. And of course, the Refugee Center starts from the connection team, the people who are welcoming any comers into the office. They try to reduce barriers and promote stability to refugees, and there is no appointment necessary. We just take walk-ins, and of course we provide help with applying for Medicaid, SNAP, WIC, TANF, childcare subsidies, and also maintain eligibility. We have resource and referral coordination. We link clients to housing, legal aid, mental health, transportation, and language services. Our office team members speak many different languages, and we are able to provide services in those languages. Plus, we have use of a language line that provides any language that we don't speak here in the office. We provide resource and general support. We just provide search support, so people who look for employment opportunities that match an individual skills, experience, and career goals, and research openings, submitting applications, networking, and preparing for the interviews. Right now, twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 12, we have a job club. We call it job club. When anybody, of course, majority of people are refugees, can come into our office, and we will help them to apply for a job. Some of the refugees, they don't have great computer skills, and it's hard for them even to submit an application. So that's what we're doing at the club. We help them physically submit application and then follow up on application. And today's Tuesday, the job club just started from 10 to 12. The next team is LCT team, Licensed Clinical Professionals team. They provide trauma-informed intervention for refugees in crisis. They provide domestic violence services, safety planning, shelter referrals, and legal coordination, and protection programs. They have provide mental health support. They do referrals to culturally competent counseling and community-based services, and also crisis intervention, rapid response to emergencies with safety assessments, and emergency service coordinations. So like I said, we connect refugees to services that provided by our partners. At the Asian Association of Utah, they have a strong clinical LCT, licensed clinical therapist team, and we often refer our clients there. The next team is integration team, which I'm a part of. We, of course, foster community engagement, education, sense of belonging across all generations. On our team, we have a youth coordinator, which provides youth services, includes tutoring, mentoring, leadership, and after-school programs, and support academic and personal growth. Right now, we have two programs for youth. It's a youth leadership class and a youth debate class. The youth leadership is completely by the Refugee Services Office. Debate class, we are in partnership with the University of Utah. So the professors from University of Utah conduct those classes. And youth at the end will participate in the debate, and the winner of the debate competition will get the laptop. And all students who complete the course, they will get like a credit for the University of Utah. The next, we support older refugees, our team, through wellness programs, social engagement, using interpreter services. We work closely with Aging and Adult Services, Salt Lake Aging Adult Services, and they provide services for Ukrainian seniors, Afghan seniors, and a lot of other community and nationalities. They work with refugee seniors closely. and they provide case management. We do a lot of community education, our team, BRIS team. We provide workshops on financial literacy, parenting, leadership, tenant rights, digital skills, and civic systems. We have a housing coordinator here, and she does the tenant rights workshops, and she helps refugees to get into the low-income housing and to maintain that housing, which sometimes is very hard and one of the biggest issues for our refugees, employment and housing. So we do housing referrals, connect to rental assistance program, landlord partnership, and housing stability resources. Also, we provide the RCBG grant oversight. We monitor closely community-led projects that align with refugee priorities. You know, the RSO, State of Utah, gave the refugee capacity building grants, and this year, I believe 9 nonprofit refugee organizations received those grants, and they will have it for 2 years. They have like different levels, first level 1, level 2, and level 3. Depends on the experience of the refugee group. We also, I would like to say that we also work closely with Know Your Neighbor. You guys already, the previous speakers already mentioned that organization, and I just have the nicest word to say about our connection. They match so many refugees with mentors, and a lot of those mentors, they become friends with the refugees and just continue lifelong relationship. That actually concludes my presentation. Sorry, it's short and without any slides, but I am happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
I just want to point out in the chat that I just put the center website for the Utah Refugee Center, as well as the Refugee Services office that belongs in the center, just so you can also have that as reference as well. Thank you, Oksana.
Thank you so much. And just to mention that refugee provider resource guide, we update it twice a year, usually in May and November. So next month in November, it will be updated, the most recent version. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry, Emily. I was just going to say, we'll make sure to add the most recent when it comes available into that drive.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And did you, just so that I can make sure, did you have any specific contact information that if people do have future questions, that they should reach out, or is it just best to go to those sites that Travis has mentioned in the chat?
So the site is really wide and informative, but I will be happy to be a point of contact. Travis, if you could share my information, my email and the phone number, I will be happy to coordinate you guys with the services and maybe more useful people.
Great.
Lots of thank yous in the chat. Oksana, thank you very much.
Awesome. I think one thing that's been so great to me during this whole, forum today is all of these things that I never would have thought about as resources for families, individuals who need that support are getting covered by so many different, resources. So thank you so much for all that you do. If anyone has any final questions, please come off mute, throw your comments in the chat. We'd be happy to do that. Travis also just threw Oksana's contact information in the chat as well. Aiden also had some information about a monthly refugee service provider meeting that is hosted. So thank you guys for all of those resources. Okay. if no one has any questions right now, I do just want to let you guys know our next Davis Links Resource Forum will be focused on supporting support for grief and loss. This is kind of, the holidays are a great time, but I think sometimes it can be really heavy for some people who are going through that. So we want to make sure that we can support that for individuals, families, different community members. And that will be on November 25th, same time, 9 to 10:30, and it will also be a virtual forum as today was. And then for upcoming events beyond that, Davis for Health Steering Committee is going to be October 30th. So that is Thursday, right? That's Thursday, 11:30 to 1:30, and that is the Davis Catalyst Center, and that's just in person. If you want to RSVP, there's the message, the email that you can send that RSVP message to. I also want to let you know that we do have that healthcare system partner meeting on November 27th from 8 to 10:30 at the Davis County Admin Building. And that is also in person only. And if you want to RSVP, that is going to be on the QR code that is shown there. And then Aiden also threw in the chat, if you're interested in the monthly provider meeting, please contact Sabrina, and he threw in the contact information for that. There is also our evaluation that really helps us if you guys take, and you can scan that QR code. Travis also, it looks like, just put a link in the chat for, I want to say that's the evaluation. So if the QR code doesn't work for you, you can click on the evaluation. This just really helps us know how we can best serve you and the type of forums you like to see, what format works best. We want to tailor this to our community. So if you can just take a moment to fill that out, it's really quick and it gives us something to talk about in our planning committee so that we can adjust future forums to be more specific to what we're all needing. But we really want to thank you all just for being here. I know I learned so much in this meeting. I hope that you guys all did too. I hope that you can plan on attending future meetings with us. We're super excited for that. But if you have questions, still throw them in the chat. But we really appreciate you all being here.
Hey, Emily, can I ask pretty quick?
Please.
Travis, this is Tema Nameze Holy Cross Hospital. Travis, I did say that I am transitioning back to Colorado. That Common Spirit is in the process of hiring new market director for mission and community health for our ministries in Utah. He was just hired. He started last Monday, and I believe he is on this call. So he's
there. He's here.
Peter. So he is taking over from me. So Travis, I want to shoot an email with his contact information saying all the meetings that I am invited. Peter is going to be taking that on as of today. So thank you.
Great, thank you, and nice to meet you, Peter.
Yeah, thanks. This is incredible work. This is one of the highlights of this job. And yes, anything Father Temazon would love to be added to so I can plug in.
Any more questions? All right, like Emily said, thank you so much for our presenters and learned a lot of information. So we'll send out an email with all that information as well as a link to the Google Drive that you can access those documents. That refugee services provider manual is going to be very helpful. And we're going to be trying to put as much of those into the Davis Links resource directory as well, so they are available. All right, with that, we're going to wrap up. Thank you again for all for attending. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. There's 10 more minutes to your day.